Slate. Sticks. Good. Stop doing that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hey book netters, welcome back. This time I'm just going to kind of talk about a couple books that I've read recently that maybe you guys would like. Alright, so not that long ago I read Throne of Glass by Maas. This book I also found online, had a really big online following, so I decided to go for it. The second one just came out, so that's kind of why I think I was hearing about it so much. And Throne of Glass is really fun. It's kind of a almost, it's a little Game of Thrones-ish, definitely a kingdom, fantasy, you know, Knights of the Round Table kind of vibe to it. So this book is about our young character called Selena, and she is the world's, or the kingdom's, most deadliest assassin. And she's been captured and she's in these salt mines and she's being put to work as a slave. And along comes the prince one day. Kind of fantasy, fairy tale kind of story, except for that, like, she's actually killed people and that's like her job. But anyway, the king comes along and decides to host a game and wants basically the kingdom's most ruthless assassins and warriors and all those kind of criminals to compete in a game, and whoever wins will be his personal champion, basically his own assassin. So the prince comes along and takes her out of the spice mines, or I'm thinking Star Wars, not spice mines, salt mines, and makes him her player in this game and wants her to win. And everybody knows of the world's most deadly assassin. They know of her. They don't know her name. They don't know that she's a she. So she goes under a fake name the whole time. So the book's really about this whole competition and her being the assassin and how she, you know, is this deadly assassin and nobody knows, and she's living this life in a kingdom. And it's really cool. It's really fun. I did like it a lot. It reminded me a lot of The Poison Study, which I talked about in a past review that I wasn't as thrilled about. Similar story where they're both, you know, girls who are like in jail and they get a second chance to live. I like this one a lot more. Maybe it was the characters of the setting, I don't really know. Just the writing style and the way the author talked about things and how she wrote them down just made me really like it a lot more. And I like Selena a lot more too. But yeah, I would say the same issues I have with it, pretty much the same issues with The Poison Study, that these girls are killers, they're murderers, they're dangerous assassins, and that's kind of cool because it's gritty about them, but at the same time, it's like they're allowing her to dress up and go to balls. Well, maybe they don't allow her, but she goes anyway, and hang out with, you know, prominent members of the royal parties, and not think that that's maybe not a good idea because she really is an assassin who doesn't particularly like this kingdom. But if you like Game of Thrones, but you want a little bit more of a fantasy edge, or you want a little bit more maybe magic, or even just almost like Game of Thrones but for young adults, like a YA Game of Thrones, I would definitely check out this one then, because that's what it reminded me the most. The cover says Hunger Games. I got way more Game of Thrones vibes. But this one I really liked. So if you've read Poison Study and you kind of felt the same way I did about it, go for this one because it's very similar, but I enjoyed it a lot more. And this I'll definitely be reading the second book of. So just real quick, the other ones were The Spectacular Now, that maybe you've heard about. It's an indie film that just came out, and it won a lot of awards actually, and this is the book it's based on. And this book is a nice change of pace for me because I read a lot of fantasy and science fiction, and this is very much a real world book. It's about a young boy who's in high school, and he loves the spectacularness of life. He loves it. I mean, granted, he's either drunk or high the entire time, but he really truly enjoys things. And he meets a girl who is, you know, kind of a geek, kind of a loser, and he wants to bring her out of her shell, and kind of realizes that maybe even though he wants to change her, maybe he shouldn't change her, that she's okay the way she is, and that it's him that's not really, you know, too fond of some things that he is. Or he is fond of himself, but he realizes that maybe he has issues that he needs to confront and be honest about for himself. But this was a really good one. It wasn't like the best book ever. I mean, like I said, I usually do fantasy, so it was a little bit slower paced, but I really enjoyed the real worldness of it. And I really liked the character Amy. I thought she was really cute and sweet. And I mean, I finished it. It was a great book. If you are not into fantasy, you'll probably like it a lot more. It's really well written and there's great characters to it. So I definitely recommend it if, you know, you'd like something a little bit more real. And kind of to throw in the middle of that, so I've got a fantasy and more of a, you know, real life kind of book, and now I've got a historical fiction one to throw in there. This is The White Queen. There's a show on Starz right now. It's actually a BBC America production, but they're airing it on Starz, and it is historical fiction. Same author as The Other Bowling Girl, if you'd like that one, because this one's really good too. This one takes place during the War of Roses, so it's the two cousins' families, and they basically are battling for the throne, and it is told by one of the wives and of the king that comes to be, and basically it's a very tumultuous time. He's a king, but then there's other enemies, and then they capture him, then is he still king, and then, you know, he's got family members who don't want him, and all the really good stuff about royals. It's kind of crazy because back in the day, it's like, how did they ever get anything done when all they're doing is just fighting each other for the throne? But this is a really good historical fiction. I love all the Tudor stuff she writes, and I didn't know too much about the Yorks and all those families, so I really enjoyed The White Queen and this whole series because there's multiple books, because it was a whole different time period of kings and a whole new group of people that I got to learn and get kind of a cool fantasy fictional story about them, and then I got to go online and really research what actually happened. And it's neat to see, you know, what she took liberties with and what she didn't, and what really did happen, because she took some liberties, but it's just kind of crazy to think about that some of the stuff that she's taking liberties of are like based on real things, and those real things are just like ridiculous. So check out The White Queen too. So I got a fantasy, just a regular fiction, and historical fiction. So read them all and tell me which one you like more. Alright, thanks.